Hi sewing friends, welcome to my sewing room. My name's Beth. If you're new, welcome. I'm away from home this weekend camping in our trailer, and I did bring along some English paper piecing I thought I would share with you, and then at the end of the video I'll show you a couple of old quilts we ran into at the local antique store here in Palm Desert. Here are the little paper piece blocks that I'm working on today. This shape is called a Kansas dugout block, and there are other ways of constructing it. This way uses an English paper piecing. I'm using here some freezer paper, and I will be tracing the shapes onto the paper side of the freezer paper. There's also a shiny side, and that's the side that I will be pressing onto the back of my fabric. This is someone else's unfinished project. It's from a magazine in 2004. I have the magazine article and the pattern. That's where these little templates come from. But there's also a place where you can purchase the shapes, and they come ready-made. You would not have to trace like I'm doing here, and you can purchase them, and I'll leave a link below. It's called paperpieces.com. And I'll leave a link if you would like to purchase the shapes for this type of project. After tracing 4 of these long hexagons on my freezer paper and 1 square, I cut them out, and I needed to be very careful to be accurate. That's the advantage of purchasing pre-cut shapes from companies that sell you, multiple shapes to use for your paper piecing. Now that I have my freezer paper shapes cut, I'll press them on the back of my fabric, and I have a new cutting board in my trailer that fits a little bit better the little pressing mat I made a long time ago, so that's kind of nice. My little pressing area is a little bit bigger, and that mat fits a little bit better than it did in the past few trips I've taken with our trailer. For each of these Kansas dugout blocks, I need 4 of those long hexagons and 1 white square. Now that I have my shapes pressed on the back of the fabric, I'm going to cut them all out, leaving at least a 1/4 inch seam allowance there for my seam. And I'm cutting off the corners on this square, and then when I get everything cut out, I'll be pressing those seams in and doing a big basting stitch. I'll take a needle and thread, and I'm going to work around my shape, folding that seam in and just taking some really big stitches, basting those seams closed, and when I have all of my pieces prepped, I can sew them together. Here are the blocks that came with this unfinished project. The quilter before me did a really nice job of putting these together. Mine will not be quite as tidy as hers, but here are my pieces, and I'm going to start whip stitching them all together to make my block. When I had everything together, almost together, I have one more seam here, and I'm going to just fold my block so that I can get those right sides together. I'll whip stitch together, and then this block will be ready to go. When these are put together for a quilt, those straight edges will be put together, and then the open areas will get a white square. This is the way the quilt pattern looks, and I did look around and saw some scrappy versions where those 4 hexagons are all different fabrics, and I kind of like the look of that. So I'm going to get back to making some more. I did have to travel to the library to make this video today, and I thought I would show you this beautiful library in Palm Desert where we were able to do some of our editing for this video. It's always fun to take trips. There's adventures, different kinds of adventures sometimes. We also went to, like I said, an antique store and saw this beautiful silk and velvet quilt. Really simple shapes, but what a beauty. Some half square triangles and some squares. And I also saw a nice collection of pin cushions, all different kinds of pin cushions in the antique store. Just, I thought it'd be fun to show you some of those. This one caught my eye. It sort of clamps onto a table, and I really enjoyed seeing these antique pin cushions. Last but not least, here is a quilt made with some silk ties. It looks like they were made on square foundations. All of the ties are different shapes, different colors, and they zigzagged them together. A very simple way to deal with someone's ties, to make a beautiful sort of a memory quilt. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.